There has been no more talked about man in footy this season, it seems, than Rory Lobb at the Western Bulldogs, and you've sat down with the man himself.
I have had a really good chat to Rory, the reborn defender. Amazing. He was Gone at the Western Bulldogs, not just playing in the VFL, but he was out the door. I think we all thought that. Now he having a really good chat to him. I think he's STAY, stay. So I think he's a situation. He's saying he's enjoying his footy. Had a great chat in the sense that he's enjoying his footy more than he ever has, which is a quick turnaround in the last 5 or 6 weeks going back to defence. And he's also saying that he's got the 2 years to run on the contract, which is something that he intends to see out if he continues to play the same way that he's going, Sammy.
Well, that's the critical component. So we saw his partner Lexi post on TikTok this year. She wrote, point of view, he has to play VFL for the rest of his career. If he falls out of the team, it doesn't look likely at the moment, but if he falls out of the team, could he still lodge that trade request?
I think there's no doubt that he could in that sense. He wants to play. He was very, very clear to me that he wants to play AFL footy. He's now seen an avenue at the Whitten Oval that he can do that. He really enjoys... he had a really good discussion in the sense about Luke Beveridge. Luke Beveridge was the guy that got into the Bulldogs in the first place from Freo and was really keen to get him. He said Luke has been so outstanding for him. Even when he was playing VFL, there was a situation there where he was continually going in and speaking to Bevo. They had a few issues there for a period of time. Anyone does when you're not playing footy. But just here's a quote from him. I just want to play AFL footy. That's all I want to do. I want to help the team. It feels like at our best we can beat anyone. He played in 2 losing preliminary finals and he can feel that premiership is not far away. That's why I think he'll stay if everything stays the same at the Western Bulldogs.
It's an interesting one. I can't wait to sit down and read this story in tomorrow's paper because I can't remember, guys, a more sort of roller coaster, I was going to say year, but it's almost half a season for him, isn't it, in sort of recent memory, because we've sat at this desk and talked about the future of Rory Lobb. There was that famous game where he was, given the Bronx cheers. I think it was up in Brisbane, wasn't it? I mean, it hasn't been easy for him this year, but he comes from pretty good stock in that regard. He's got, unfortunately, a base in this sort of thing that I would imagine has set him up to have the strength to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know this. As a 14-year-old, he was being bullied at school in Western Australia and decided, his dad said, let's get out of this school, let's not go to another one. So he became a fly-in, fly-out worker at 14 years of age.
Crazy.
So he had to leave home and went to Tom Price, he went to Darwin, he went to the Tiwi Islands. So there's a fair bit of resilience that's built up. But by goodness, he's needed the resilience because those Bronx cheers got to him. That was a game that really... He said that was that game, the Brisbane game, was as tough a game afterwards that he ever been through in that sense. He was really struggling mentally. His partner and the Bulldogs got around him. He decided, let's have a crack. He played against Freo the week after that, his old side, and completely turned it around. Then expected to get dropped when Norton and Darcy come back. You know what? He didn't. He went back. And we might be seeing, you never know, Sammy, a premiership defender in the making here.
It's crazy to think, isn't it? A new lease on life for him down back there.
Absolutely.
Huge game for them tomorrow night, Sam, against the D's. And they're off a 5-day break too. It's not going to be easy.
5-day break and travel, flying back from Sydney. And look, I think the word in the locker room is the players, they're aware that they matched up really well against... Melbourne matches up really well against the Dogs. Melbourne's won 4 of the last 5 games by an average of about 8 goals. That goes back to the grand final. I think the Dogs players, they know that Melbourne's aerial dominance, it's been too good for them. Stephen May, Jake Lever behind the ball, Max Gawn in the ruck. So I think from that point of view, there's a few Bulldog players just wondering, geez, it's been tough against these guys. Everyone's expecting the Dogs to win. It might not be as easy as people think.
Well, they haven't had long to sort of think about it, have they? It's straight back from Sydney, as you say, that fantastic win and into it against the D's tomorrow night. Luke Beveridge spoke at the Kennel this morning, or the Scray, I should say, this weekend, about that 5-day break.
Bowling to tomorrow night's game, we need to make sure that there's no fatigue in our minds and our bodies. So we're doing certain things through our words and our actions to make sure that we're on edge.
It's interesting, isn't it, guys? You're suddenly okay with a 5-day break when you've just beaten the top team. You've got a quick turnaround. You've now got a home game. I think they've won 5 of the last 6, haven't they? So you have to wonder if Luke would have felt differently about the short break had their fortunes been different. But